For that, for me, now that would be the D500 with the zoom lens on, so that it's easy to. Sorry, one of the problems with speeches is often you can't move much. As I say, quite often tables are quite close together. You can't walk round this way. You don't really want to sort of park yourself in front of a table of guests and stand there and, you know, you're taking photos and they're trying to see the groom giving his speech or the best man giving his speech. So I again, I try and be inconspicuous. I don't want to be noticed. So I try and stand, maybe if there's some pillars, I'll get myself in front of a pillar so that I'm not blocking anyone's view. If I can't do that, then I will kneel down so that, you know, I'm out of people's way and they can see over my head. That limits very much where you can be because you're now trying to shoot through people sitting down and tables and so on. As I say, overriding factor here is be considerate. That's my view anyway. So the equivalent 24 to 120 lens is really useful because wherever I am, I can frame it and try and get a decent shot. I will also try and go right to the back of the room so that I can put that on 120 and I can shoot through the guests and get the best man over there or whatever. I will also go round behind the groom if he's doing his speech, or the best man, whatever that is, zoom in 120 and maybe get a really close up of his actual speech. Focus on the bride while the groom is giving his speech to see her reaction and have him slightly blurred in the background. That kind of thing. It means being active. It means keep moving around. No flash whatsoever, natural light only. And of course I will have also set up the video on the tripod, and I will move that around if I need to. So I just want to point it at whoever's doing the speech. Maybe it's at the top table, maybe someone else does a speech and you've got to walk round and get round over there and get some shots over that way. Whatever. Get the speeches. Next, we are looking at the evening guests arrive. So after the speeches, again, there's probably half an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, of just guest mingling before the evening guests arrive. Another great opportunity to get an inconspicuous camera of some sort and just wander around with it and just click, click, click of people doing stuff, reacting to each other. Anyone doing anything slightly silly, get some shots of that. Maybe I'll pop my 135 lens on, go to the other side of the room and get, again, some really sort of artistic, blurred out background shots of the bridegroom, bridesmaids, whatever. Another chance for some interesting documentary sort of shots. Right, then the evening guests start arriving. I always say to the bride and groom during the consultation, I will photograph evening guests arriving, but I do not promise to get every single one of them. I don't want it to I don't want to be stuck in the same place for like an hour from the time the first one arrives to the time the last one arrives, because it's just not interesting enough. I will spend some time there and I'll always keep an eye out for the bride obviously seeing someone, and I'll try and get over there quick enough to actually get some shots. But again, it's not a huge part, but it's nice if you can do it, because the evening guests haven't been in the group shot or anything else, obviously, during the day. So to try and get some shots from, I do put a bit of effort in, but don't overdo it. And again, shoot through things. If there's flowers or a reflection you can shoot in, maybe there's a window you can shoot through and get some reflections in the window and them on the other side. Make it interesting. And again, I'll probably use my zoom lens for that because it's so flexible. And quite often, again, I'll be using 24mm, have it zoomed right in and get close. Or have this guy with me as well. Right. Next one, cake cutting. So evening guests arrive. Cake has has already been put out somewhere. Now, often I find the organisers have put the cake in a ludicrously bad position. They've got this lovely table with a beautiful sort of cake stand, and it's stuck in the darkest corner of the room they can possibly find, or it's stuck right in right in front of a fire extinguisher or something like that. Don't be afraid to say to the organiser, "I can't shoot that there. That is just awful. Please, can we move this cake to somewhere else?" Most wedding organisers realise you want to get some good photos, and they will accommodate you. Do not do not try and move the cake yourself. Let them do it. You don't want to be responsible for any sort of disasters. But try and get the cake in a reasonably nice place. And I will use, when the battery's not flat, my LED light for the cake cutting. So I will have, let's say the cake is there, it's in front of me. I will have the bride and groom there. The guests are going to be all the way round behind me and to the side. This side will be a wall, so I'll have my LED light here up against the wall, so it's illuminating them and part of the cake, and I will shoot from here. Now, the cake cutting is only going to last like 20-30 seconds, so you haven't got really a chance to move. So I will just stand there, make myself as small as possible, zoom lens, LED, so I haven't got any flash going off. I find LED is less distracting for that sort of thing than a flash keep going off, and get close-in shots and wide shots, and I'll try and get as far around as I can so that I've got the bride and groom and guests in the background, just to give the whole thing the right sort of feeling, just so that it's obvious this is our wedding. This wasn't a stage shoot in some hotel. This is our wedding. Okay, so the cake cutting is done, and the next thing is first dance. Usually the couple will go straight from cake cutting, cut the cake, over to the dance floor, start dancing. You do not have time between cake cutting and first dance to set up any lighting. So, which is kind of why I don't use flash for cake cutting, because I've probably got them over on the dance floor already set up to do the first dance. And the way I will do that, kind of, it depends on the venue and the DJ and the lighting and all that sort of thing. But basically what I want is a flash behind the couple. So if I'm shooting here, couple are there, I want the flash behind them, so that when I take a shot, I've got this flash behind them. I don't do it in every shot, but it gives a bit of, you know, a bit of atmosphere. Plus I'll try and get to one side any lights from the DJ or the band, try and get those in that shot. So that's the scene, and I want the couple in the middle of that scene. So I've got them backlit, so I now need some light on them. And what I do now is, from the cake cutting, I will grab this guy. This is what I use for the cake cutting. As you can see, this is the tripod, the light stand it's on, and what it means is I can just pick this up from the cake cutting, and I can use camera one-handed. Now, it's a bit pointless using a zoom lens if you're going to do it one-handed, so I won't use this. Plus it's 2.8 to 4, and I'd rather shoot wide open with a 1.4 lens if I can. So I will pop on, for this I will use my Tamron 35 1.8 VR lens. So we've got image stabilization 35, which is absolutely ideal for the first dance. You can get really close and, you know, just get the bride's head and the side of the groom's head, and then you can go back just 3 or 4 paces and you'll get them full length. I find it's perfect, and you haven't really got time, I don't think, to be switching lenses. If you use a zoom, you can't hold this in one hand. So I'm like this. I've got this up here, I can't show you really, and I'm shooting through here. my AF settings on this would be D9. This is Nikon, I don't know what it would be on the Canon, but a single point surrounded by other points, because they'll be moving and I just want to keep my hand on the back button and just click, 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 click. And if I'm slightly off with D9, it will still be in focus. I don't use auto area because we're now talking probably about quite low light, and that won't work so well. So you need something like either single point AF or D9 I found works well with this camera. Now, if you're using mirrorless, then I would say that I've got a 1.4 lens. I would use a 35 1.4, and the first dance is actually one time I may well get this guy out, because we have got face and eye autofocus. If it gets too dark, that's going to be a bit of a problem, but I've got this, so they shouldn't be too dark, and face and eye autofocus should work quite well, but it's not perfect, because quite often the bride will shut her eyes and you're trying to focus, she shuts her eyes and moves, and you've now got the back of the groom's head. So you've got to move quickly a bit round to the side here, and face and eye AF just really often in reality doesn't work enough of the time to make it worth using. So I would probably put this on D9 as well. So at least I know whatever I'm pointing at, even if it's the back of his head, it's going to be in focus. Because if you rely on face and eye AF, you're going to miss an awful lot of shots, even using an LED to actually give you enough light to focus. Which is why I'm kind of happy to use this guy, because I find the low light autofocus on this is technically, it's not as good. If you read the specs, this is -7 EVs, I think, and that's -4. I've never found this. This is the Z6 III, by the way. I haven't found this to be a huge amount better than the D780 for low light autofocus. And as far as noise goes, the D780 wins from any camera I've ever had in my entire life. The D780 is the best as far as high ISO noise goes. You can shoot at 25,600 with that, and you barely have to do even any noise reduction. It's that good. Whereas the Z6 III, once you're over about 6,000, you've got to start doing some noise reduction. And of course, because the Tamron lens has got VR, you can get some interesting shots. If you go down to like a 20th of a second and you're photographing them, then you're going to get some movement, some, not camera shake, but they're going to move, and that can actually give you some quite interesting shots. And something I might also have on this is I might pop the flash on onto this, which makes it a bit of a beast. Better lock it on. But you can still do it one-handed. I can still do that. It's not adding much weight to it. And put down the LED light and then just rely on this. And if you shoot at a 30th of a second or 20th of a second, 10th of a second with flash, you're going to get some interesting shots, because you're going to get movement, but when the flash goes, it will freeze whatever you're focused on. So you'll get kind of a sharp shot of the bride, and the groom will be blurred. There'll be some. It makes interesting shots. If you're going to do something like that, practice before you actually do it for real on a dance floor. But yeah, it allows you to be a little bit more creative. Right, where did we get to? Lighting. Often you've got some very strange lighting on dance floors. It's changing. You've got revolving lamps and lights, and don't get caught out by the DJ saying, yes, this is what the lighting's going to be like. It may be, but then the wedding organizer comes along as they start the first dance and turns all the bloody lights off, and it's literally almost pitch dark. You've got to be ready for anything. I think that just about covers everything I wanted to say about photography. So we go home now. Right, okay. Right, so back home. Take the flash off. So back home, depends what time I get home, but so it might be the next morning. Download everything from the cards onto your PC. Now, I don't actually put it on my PC. I put them onto a plug-in hard drive. So I've got another computer. So I've got a 6 terabyte hard drive, I think, at the moment. I'm going to have to get another one soon. Download onto there, not to the computer itself. What I then do is, as soon as I've uploaded all the photos, and we're probably talking 1500 photos, I will then copy that entire folder onto another hard drive, which is just a temporary thing. I will just leave it on that other hard drive until I've edited all the photos I want to do. I've uploaded them to the gallery and the bride and groom have seen them, so I know that they're there and they're okay. Once I get to that point, I can get rid of that backup copy on the second hard drive, and I've just got them on the main hard drive. It's very, very rare that I then need to go back. If I lost them off that hard drive, I've got the smart previews in Lightroom, which I could use to do some photos, and standard previews as well. So when the bride and groom have seen their gallery and they've got their gallery, delete it off the second backup hard drive. You've done your job. You've delivered the photos. So should the worst happen and you lose the first drive, you've done your job anyway. You shouldn't need to go back to those photos. Editing in Lightroom. So, by the way, did I ever say that we obviously shoot it in RAW? Raw images never meant to be the finished article, and in fact I'm going to finish this video shortly and I will do another video because I want to take you into Lightroom and do some editing in Lightroom, so we'll make that another video. So there'll be 4 videos in this wedding series. Editing 1200 1500 photos. I will just go through the library and I will hit 6 for any photo which marks it as a red, gives it a red label. Marks those photos I want to edit. Go through 1500 in 45-50 minutes. Then just select the red ones. So you've now got usually about 300 to 350 photos is what I'll end up with that I want to edit. We'll go through this, as I say, in the next video, but I'll then create a preset for their wedding, probably based on a previous sort of more generic preset. We'll talk about that. When I've done all that, export them to a different hard drive. So we now need 3 hard drives. So a different hard drive, then upload them from the hard drive to the gallery. I use SmugMug. I've been using them for years. I find them to be very good, very reliable, pretty cheap. I think it's about £8 a month or something I pay, and I must have about 350 galleries I think up there now. Send the couple a link to the gallery and they've got their photos. What I will then do is, in that email I will also ask them when they're ready to let me have 40 photos for the album. I will, once I get those 40, I will then go into Bookwrite, which is the Blurb album designer. I will put those 40 photos into the album together with another 15 or 20 that I choose that will go with their 40 photos. Save that, and then you can get a link to send to the couple to look at that draft album. And what that link does, it takes them to a flipping book where they can click on a page and it will flip over, so they can literally see what that wedding album is going to look like. They can make any changes. They can come back to me and say, I want this one there. Can you change that photo for so-and-so, so-and-so? I'll change that, send them another link. When they're happy, hit print, gets printed and sent to them. And last but not least, brag, I've said here. So I always, again, during the consultation, say, is there any reason why I shouldn't post your photos on Facebook or on my website? Very occasionally, they will say, I prefer you didn't. Maybe they're in the police, a prison officer, or something where they really would rather not have a social presence. Obviously, if they say no, then don't do it. But I always mention that I will be putting them on Facebook, and that's okay, isn't it? Type of approach. I will then do a Facebook post about their wedding, mentioning, tagging the venue, flowers, DJ, band, whatever, any entertainment that was there, hair and makeup, everyone I can possibly think of on the Facebook post. Exactly the same on Instagram. Tag everyone possible, because if you do that, they will see it, they will share it, you'll get more exposure. I'll create a reel from either from bits of the video that I've got, and I'm talking, 20 seconds of video, do a reel. I will usually, if it's a venue that I could get more work from, then or one that I go to fairly regularly, I will just drop them an email with a link to the couple's gallery. So, and I'll make sure that's okay with the couple first, of course. Send that gallery also to the venue, DJ, hair and makeup, flower lady, cake lady, so on, so that they can go through that gallery, pick out any photos they want, and they can use them. And by the way, when I export them from Lightroom, I have a little, and I mean little, logo in the bottom left-hand corner. My name, Alan Barsdell, photographer. And obviously, when I send them the email with a link to the gallery, each of these people, I say, if you do post on social, please tag me in your post. And it just gets you more exposure. It really does make it really does make a difference on social. Now, whether or not that's going to lead to more weddings is another thing, but it's all a big snowball. You've got to get the ball rolling, and there's so many parts: Instagram, Facebook, your website, other venues, hair and makeup. All these people come together and in their own tiny little way help to get the ball rolling. Okay, that wraps up this video. As I say, not the last one. We will do one editing in Lightroom. I'll take you through Lightroom and show you what I do, and hope it's all been useful for you. Thanks for watching.